Is that it?
You asked for it. Oh.
You gotta be kidding me.
What's happening, guys? Supernova here, back with another video. And before I even get into this shit, I just want to let you guys know I was suspended from Twitter yet again. Not because of anything I said, but just because I made the mistake of logging into Twitter from the browser on my phone versus the app, and somehow the Twitter bots recognized my phone from doing it that way, and immediately suspended me for attempting to evade permanent suspension of the original account. They're fucking cocksuckers, Twitter. I fucking tell you. Bunch of fucking cocksuckers. Anyway, I have made a new Twitter account, but I literally just made it today, so I want to make sure that I've been using it for about a week and that it's not going to get insta-suspended before I tell you guys what it is. So in my next video I make, I'll probably let you guys know at that time what it is, if it's still fucking active. Fucking pieces of shit. Anyway, why are we here today? We're here today to talk about Deathloop because I have beaten the game and I have some thoughts. There's also lots of things that I never heard other reviewers really talk about or mention that I think are important for you to kind of know if you're on the fence about Deathloop. First off, is Deathloop a good game? Yes, Deathloop is a great game. It's a well-polished game. It has some issues here and there, but it overall is a very well-polished game, and I've had a lot of fun with it. Now, is it a 10 out of 10 like outlets like IGN have been giving it? I'm sorry, in my opinion, no fucking way. I don't know what the fuck people like IGN and these other outlets have been smoking, drinking, and or injecting in order to think that Deathloop is a 10 out of 10 game. Because in my personal opinion, a 10 out of 10, a 5 out of 5, whatever the 100% is on your rating system, that should be reserved for games that are exceptional, right? They are exceptional games. They do something exceptionally well or exceptionally better than other games. Deathloop does everything well. It is a competently made game. It does everything very well. But it doesn't do anything exceptionally well. There is nothing exceptional about Deathloop. Deathloop for me is a 7, 8 max. But 10 out of 10? No fucking way. Again, I don't understand what they saw in this game to make them give it a 10 out of 10, because I've played similar games that do things just as well, just as competently, that these outlets didn't give a 10 out of 10. They fucking basically said, oh yeah, that's a decent game over there. And yet here they're saying, oh, Deathloop, fucking 10 out of 10. I don't understand why. It makes no sense to me. Anyway, let me explain to you basically what the game is, how it kind of works, and then why, for me, it is not this 10 out of 10 fucking amazing game that these outlets are raving about. So what is Deathloop? In a nutshell, Deathloop is basically an amalgamation of games like Dishonored, which isn't really much of a surprise considering that they made Dishonored, games like Dark Souls, and then pick your, roguelike game of choice, whether it be Hades or Returnal or what have you. The game really does feel a lot like Dishonored, both in the way you move and then the way the levels are kind of designed. They're very much Dishonored. Like, Dishonored DNA is 100% there in that case. The Dark Souls elements that are brought in are, you are allowed to die 2 times without fucking up your loop. Because you have this ability where you can revive twice. So if someone kills you, you'll go back to one of these little round paths that are located throughout the map, wherever the nearest one is, or the nearest one you walked past is. You will immediately warp back to that pad and then regain your health and then be able to continue. You can do that 2 times. On the 3rd time, that's it. Your loop is over and you have to restart from the beginning. But when you die, just like in Dark Souls, whatever currency you have that you've picked up, I think it's called Residuum in this game, whatever currency you currently were holding, you now have dropped at the point where you died. And the only way you can get it back is you need to go back to the point where you died and then go to your body. There's basically like this kind of fluorescent, shiny version of your body. And then you hold square over it as you absorb all the residuum and get your currency back. Just like in Dark Souls, where when you die and you lose all your souls, you can get them back, but you need to go back to the point where you died in order to collect them. That's one of the main elements that's brought over from Dark Souls. The other element is the invasion system. In Dark Souls, other players can invade your game and basically attack you and kill you, right? Same thing happens here. When you boot up the game, you have the ability to either break the loop or protect the loop. Breaking the loop is the main single-player campaign. If you choose to do that, that's the regular game. If you choose to protect the loop, you play as a different character. Instead of playing as Colt, you play as Juliana, and it will put you in other players' games where you can then hunt them down and try to kill them. That's one of the systems brought over from Dark Souls. If you don't want to have other players invade your game, you can play offline, but you will, at random, still have the computer invade your game and have to deal with that. The elements that are brought over from your roguelike, your, like I said, Hades, Returnal, what have you, is that, like you know, everyone understands from the name of the game, this is a loop cycle where when you die, you restart the beginning of your loop. But this game is much, much more forgiving than a traditional roguelike. Because in a traditional roguelike, you fuck up, you die, you have to go back a ways to recover whatever ground you lost. You also pretty much lose everything, right? You lose all your weapons, you lose all your abilities, all your upgrades, everything. This game is far more forgiving because the game is broken up into 4 times of day. That's morning, noon, afternoon, and evening. And then the game world is broken up into 4 hub areas that are Up Dam, the Complex, Freestad Rock, and Carl's Bay. And those 4 hub areas are connected by a tunnel system. Now, every loop starts off in the morning, obviously. So what happens is you start off in the morning and you pick which of the 4 areas you want to go into. So let's say, for example, I decide I want to go into Carl's Bay in the morning. The game then boots you into the tunnel system right outside Carl's Bay. Now, even though all of the 4 locations are supposedly connected via this tunnel system, you can't take that tunnel system to any place other than Carl's Bay. You understand what I'm saying? So if you choose Carl's Bay, that's the only place you're going. So it boots you into the tunnel system, you exit the tunnels, into Carl's Bay, do whatever you have to do there, whether it be collecting intel, killing somebody, whatever it is, and then when you go back into the tunnel system after you're done, you've then completed morning. You'll then see like an aerial shot of the entire island as time moves forward into noon. And then it's now time for you to pick the next section of the map that you want to go into. And you do that for all 4 times a day. Once you've gotten all the way through evening, if you haven't died 3 times and fucked up your loop, you then will restart the loop and go back to morning. But any intel gathered, any knowledge gained, you retain that for the subsequent playthroughs, which open up other opportunities and other things you could do as you continue to play. And if you happen to fuck up a loop later on in the game, you don't go all the way back to the beginning. You just go back to the beginning of that loop. Same thing, let's say, if the game were to crash on you, or if there was an unexpected error and you had to shut down your console. You don't have to restart the entire game. You don't even have to restart the entire loop. Whatever the last section of the loop you were on that you completed was, you'll be right there. So let's say you had just completed noon, and you were now in the afternoon section of a loop, and for whatever reason your game crashed. When you restart the game, you'll be right there at the point where you've completed noon, selecting which area of the map you want to go into for the afternoon section of that loop. So you lose almost 0 progress, if that makes sense. The third way that this game is far more forgiving than a regular roguelike game is that you have this currency residuum like I was talking about earlier. Now, anything you've picked up during your loop, whether it be weapons, weapon mods, character mods, or special abilities, you can essentially purchase them with the residuum so that when you start the next loop, they stay with you and you will never lose them. So if there's a weapon you found that is really badass or that you like, if you have enough residuum, you can purchase it so that when you start the next loop, you already have that weapon with you. Same thing with abilities, as well as weapon and character mods. So this game is far, far more forgiving than a traditional roguelike game. But that, in a nutshell, is what Deathloop is. The main point of the game is to kill the 7 visionaries all around the maps in one loop so that you can break the loop. Now, here's where the game is very different than what I thought it was going to be. I thought the game was going to be like a regular roguelike. And for me, my only real experience with a roguelike game is Returnal. That's the only roguelike game I've ever played. So, based off my experience with Returnal, I was expecting a game where I need to go through and kill all the 7 visionaries in one run. Like running around a giant open world map and figuring out which order to take them out in, or the best ways to take them out so I can kill them all in the one run. That's what I was expecting from this game. And even though it sounds like that's what it is because you have to kill them all in one loop, it really is not that, because the loop is broken up into 4 sections. And then at the end of the loop, you restart at the beginning, but you're just really continuing from where you left off. So it's very, very different from the type of game that I was expecting. But that, in a nutshell, is what the game is. Now, let me start talking about the things about the game that I really, really liked. First of all, they really did a good job with the DualSense support if you are lucky enough to be playing on PlayStation 5. I tell people all the time, listen, the DualSense is not a gimmick. The amount of immersion you get from both the haptics and the adaptive triggers, it is a big step up from what you get in traditional gaming controllers. And it's technology that I hope Xbox will copy, because if Xbox had that technology, then there's a better chance that third parties will be willing to make use of that technology. And in my opinion, that is better for everybody, because it really does make a difference. When you play a game that's just traditional Rumble, and then you play a game that is making really good use of the haptics and adaptive triggers in the PS5's DualSense, it is a big night and day difference. It adds much more immersion to the game. So they made real good use of both the haptics and the adaptive triggers. They also made good use of the speaker and the controller. Whenever you're having conversations with this Juliana girl over comms, it comes out of the speaker and the controller. When you pick up audio logs, it comes out of the speaker and the controller. When you're picking up certain items, it makes cool sounds out of the controller. When you're shooting guns, you can hear shell casings dropping through the controller speaker. So all in all, the DualSense support is really good in this game. It is one of the better games to make use of the DualSense, because you have games like Godfall that, yeah, the DualSense is doing shit, but it's like just doing shit for the sake of doing shit, and it doesn't add to the immersion. In this game, it really does add to the immersion. The other good thing is the level design. Again, from being the people who made Dishonored, the level designs are very kind of windy, and you've got paths to the left and the right, straight ahead, and then you got paths high above you, and then below you, and then little secret paths, and multiple ways to get to whatever your objective is. So there's just a lot of verticality and options in all of the 4 map sections. But again, these are the people that made Dishonored, so that's nothing new for them. And then the sound design. The guns are very, very punchy in this game. Especially guns like your shotgun, or if you have the special sniper rifle, the one with the scope on it. That thing sounds like it would fucking wreck some shit. It is definitely very, very punchy. The guns sound like they hit with some impact, which, along with the haptics and the adaptive triggers, it really makes it feel like you're firing these really, really heavy weapons, which, again, adds to immersion. So that all is good. Now, here's where I personally have issues with the game. In a game like Returnal, where I'm working my way through the, my run. As I'm going through the run, the enemies are progressively getting harder and harder and harder. Likewise, they are dropping better and better loot, right? So the weapons that they're dropping are more powerful. The mods they're dropping are more powerful. So you have this kind of sense of progression that's occurring. And while there is some sense of progression in this game, because you're picking up character mods and weapon mods, and there's different values to them, right? You have like gray, which is dog shit, then you have your blues, purples, and oranges. Still, the difficulty of the enemies never changes. As a matter of fact, the visionaries, the 7 enemies you're supposed to kill all around the map, they can be killed just as easily as anybody else in the level. There are no bosses in the game. And the enemies that you're fighting at the very, very beginning of your very, very first loop are just as easy to kill as the enemies that you fight at the very, very end of the game. They don't get any harder. The stuff they drop doesn't get any better. So there really is no kind of sense of progression in that sense. And this becomes an issue because it's very easy to get purple weapons, right? Purple is right below orange, and there aren't very many orange weapons. And most of them you get from quests that you do, and then they're just handed to you. One you have to kill somebody for. But there's only, as to my knowledge right now, there's only 4 that I've found. I haven't seen anything else other than that. But in order to get purple weapons, it's very easy. All you got to do is kill one of the visionaries. And you have 4 possibilities of killing a visionary every loop. And that means that those visionaries are going to drop a purple weapon, every time you kill them. So on your very, very first time playing, if you're good enough to get to the visionary and kill them, they'll immediately drop a purple weapon. That purple weapon that you pick up from them is already like one of the best weapons in the game now. Especially since it's a purple, which means you can put 3 weapon mods on it. Like blues can get 2 weapon mods, purples can get 3 weapon mods, and because the weapons that enemy drops right then on your first loop doesn't get any more powerful on your last loop, you really don't feel like you're progressing at all. Also, every time you kill the visionary, they drop the same exact weapon. So it's not even like you can kill them later on and they'll drop a better weapon or a different weapon, right? They're going to drop the same exact weapon. So if you already have the weapon they dropped, well then shit, they're just going to drop the same fucking weapon. The game really could have benefited from a more dynamic loot system where the enemies were dropping loot that wasn't the same every time, or was a little bit more random. Now, the regular enemies you kill, some of them will drop weapons, but they're all usually dog shit. It's really the visionaries that are going to drop good weapons, purples and shit. But again, the second you kill a visionary, you instantly have a weapon that you can go through and play the entire fucking game with. Like, for example, for me, I like being very stealthy and taking people out with stealth. You also kind of need to do it in this game because once people get alerted, they start calling their buddies, and next thing you know, you got fucking 15, 20 people around you, and that's a really fast way to die. So you want to be stealthy. And you've probably all seen, the nail gun in the trailers where the dude kind of just drops the nails in it, and then he's fucking firing silent nails at people. And that's kind of the stealth weapon that you start off with. But I found this SMG that you could easily find on your first loop ever, that was a purple SMG, that its special ability that it comes with stock, because it's purple, is that it makes no noise. So it essentially is a silenced weapon, even though it's not fitted with a suppressor. It's an SMG that fires silently. Well, shit, that instantly replaced my little nail gun, because it fires faster, I can find ammo for it easier. That takes the place of my stealth weapon. You can only carry 3 weapons, by the way. Then I had this shotgun. Again, I picked it up maybe on my second, third loop. It was this purple shotgun. It was fully automatic. It has 2 fucking horizontal drums, and it carries 30 rounds. It was a fucking beast of a fucking gun. That was my secondary gun. That was my, oh shit, the dudes are on me gun, right? So I would try to kill as many people as I could with headshots silently from my SMG. But when shit was hitting the fan, I would switch to my fucking full auto shotty and just go to fucking town. In my third slot, I had originally one of the rifles, regular rifles, so I can have long range shots. And then eventually I found this orange sniper rifle that's scoped, if you want to call it legendary. It's got a scope on it. It's the only gun in the game that has a scope on it, and it has 2 different zoom levels. And so I had that for picking people off from far away. I played, I shit you not, probably 75 to 80% of the game with those 3 weapons. Didn't need another weapon. I picked up other weapons, sure, just so I can add them to my collection, but just so I can have them in my collection. I didn't need them, nor was there really a purpose for me to pick them up. For my personal needs, I had my stealth weapon, I had my let's go fucking bang bang weapon, and I had my let's take fuckers out from far away weapon. Those are the 3 weapons I wanted. I already had them in the slots. I found them early on, which anybody could find them pretty early on. And then I had no need to swap them out at any point. Because enemies don't get more difficult as the game goes on, because there are no bosses, your weapon's efficiency at killing people the second you pick it up is exactly the same as it is at the very end of the game. It's just as efficient at killing people at the very end of the game. The other thing is, I'm sure the idea of having 4 different zones and then 4 different times of day sounded good, maybe, but in execution, it's kind of a bit clunky, because you'll come up to times where there's really you've done all these quests for the visionaries to figure out what you need to do, and maybe there's a couple things you need to clean up, but a piece of intel you need can only be picked up at one particular part of the map at one particular time, and you really can't do anything else until you get that piece of intel. So what do? You start the loop, and you can skip time. So you start the loop, you skip morning, skip noon, and then in afternoon you get the piece of intel you want. When you're done with that, you immediately skip night so you can restart the loop with the new intel. And there's a lot of times you'll find where that's what you're doing. You're skipping, getting to the time of day you need to get the thing you need, going into the part of the map where you go get it, getting it, coming back out, and then skipping, so you can restart the loop with the new intel. The other thing is, there's a lot of going in for something where you're going to go in, grab something, and then that's it, you're done. Time to leave. And it's like, I spent all of 5 minutes here, right? So like later on in the game, there might be a piece of intel I need to collect, or an audio log I need to collect. And because you have now abilities at this point where you can warp or go invisible or whatever, it's easier for you to get around the map. You also learn the maps better, and you have weapons where you have mods and shit on them that make them easier for killing people. So you'll load into the map and be like, okay, I need to go get this audio log over here, fucking run through, kill a couple dudes, get to the room where the audio log is, grab it, boom, get the audio log, you've got the new piece of intel you need, and then that's it. And now you got to leave that section of the map and go back to the tunnel system. So you can go to the next time of day, or skip that time of day, so you can restart the loop with the new intel, so you can do whatever the next step is for the subsequent loop. So there's a lot of just popping in to grab one thing and then leaving. Going into a section of the map for one thing and then dipping. And you're in and out in 5 minutes, and you're not really doing anything. Sometimes you're doing shit where it's going to take you 20, 30 minutes based on, where it's located on the map and how many enemies are there around and shit. Sometimes it's literally you're in and out in 5 minutes, and it's like, what a fucking waste to have to load all this shit. And it feels clunky in execution. These are the reasons why I don't see how anyone could have possibly given this game a 10 out of 10. Like, is it fun? Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with it. But it's not a game that I would say, hey, you need to go out and buy this fucking game, right? Like, if you're on the fence about this game, I'm not going to try to sell you on this game. I'll tell you how I feel about the game. I'll tell you that I enjoyed the game, but I wouldn't say, yo, like, you need to fucking pony up the dough and get this fucking game, right? This isn't like a Ghost of Tsushima, where if you didn't buy it, I'd be like, bro, are you fucking kidding me? You didn't buy Ghost of Tsushima? Are you out of your mind? You didn't buy it? You're waiting for it to go on sale? Are you nuts? Bro, this game is fucking amazing. That type of game, Deathloop is not. Again, it is a well-made game. It is a polished game. But it's clunky in the execution. There's also just a lot of, like I said, just going in for one thing and then leaving. And a lot of just revisiting the same areas over and over and over again as you're going through the loops. Which, if it's a roguelike, you're obviously always going through the same areas. But because nothing's really changing ever, you don't feel like there's any progress being made. And I don't know. For me, it felt strange. And it got to a point where, I had already gotten weapons that I was cool with. I had enough weapon mods and character mods. So it got to the point where, the residuum currency I just stopped giving a shit about it. Like, I didn't need it anymore. It wasn't necessary. Because there are little things that shimmer around the map. Like, you'll see, like, an object that's shimmering, like a paint can or a fucking paintbrush or a fucking a chest or just some random objects around the map that'll be, like, shimmering weird. And you can go up to it and hold square and then absorb the residuum from it and then add it to your currency. And in the beginning of the game, it's important to do that because you need your residuum to be able to purchase your weapons and your upgrades and mods and shit so that they come with you on the next loop. But it gets to a certain point where you've got enough weapon mods, you've got enough character mods, because you can only equip 4 character mods at a time. So even though there's like fucking 20 of them, if you can only equip 4 at a time, like, it don't really matter. And it gets to a point where, like, the residuum doesn't fucking matter. You don't need it anymore. With Returnal, the currency in that game, every run, up to the very last second, the currency was priceless. You needed that currency to be able to purchase upgrades for that run, to be able to purchase perks for your weapons for that run. The currency was priceless, even up to the last second of the game. It gets to a point in Returnal where the currency is just fucking pointless. The currency's pointless, the weapons the enemies drop are pointless, and there's just no point in doing it anymore. There's no point in killing the visionaries anymore. You've already gotten whatever upgrades you can get from them. They're going to drop the same bullshit weapons. You don't need any of that shit. So then you're just going through doing the regular bullshit tasks, trying to get the final steps laid out for you to be able to make your run to kill all 7 visionaries in one run, in one loop. And that can only happen after you've completed all these little side quests. That's the other way this game is very different from a regular roguelike. A regular roguelike, again, my only experience is Returnal. I haven't played Hades or these other games, but in Returnal, you run through the loop, killing shit, collecting shit, and just go as far as you can go. In Deathloop, it'll say, hey, go there, collect this thing, come back. Hey, you're back? Cool. Now we're going to go to the next period of day. And then you're going to go over there, you're going to collect that, and you're going to come back. Oh, you're back? Cool. And now you're going to go into the next time of day, and then you're going to go over to that area, you're going to collect that thing, and come back. Oh, you're back? Cool. And you do that until you've collected all the intel, gathered all the information you need, and completed all these side quests. And once the side quests are all complete, at that point, and only at that point, is it now possible to kill all of the visionaries in one loop. And not only that, it tells you what order to kill them in and when to kill them where. So it's very much a game that is very different from a regular roguelike game. It's a game where, like I said, it's even though there's no hand holding really. Once you're in the areas, there's not a whole lot of hand holding. There's a lot of you having to figure shit out for yourself. But then at times there's heavy hand holding. And I don't know. Like I said, I had fun with it. I enjoyed it. I can't see how it's a 10 out of 10 game. I don't see on what fucking planet it's a 10 out of 10 game. The game really could have benefited, like I said, from a dynamic weapon system where the enemies are dropping, more randomized types of weapons, and a system where, as you played through the game, the enemy's difficulty increased in some capacity because nothing changes. As you're going through the loops, it really just feels like you're doing busybody work, just gathering intel. I mean, you're still killing people and shit, but it's really just you doing busybody work, collecting intel, and not really making yourself any better. Yeah, like I said, you get the character mods and you get the special abilities and weapon mods and shit that you collect as you play through, but you very quickly get to a point where you've got what you need, and after that, everything else becomes pointless. Again, I'm going to go to Returnal as an example. When you play through Returnal, any mods you get, they're priceless because they're only good for that run. The currency, everything is priceless. Nothing is useless. Nothing is something where you're like, oh, that doesn't matter. Oh, I don't care about that. Everything matters. Everything's important. You get to a point in this game where just nothing matters. Nothing's important. You're just doing the busybody work, collecting the last little bit of information and bullshit that you need to complete the side quests so that you can then be able to complete the loop and kill all the visionaries in the single loop. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like I said, for me, I'd give it a 7. 8 is like asking a bit much, but maybe 8. But for me, if I was gonna give it a score, I would say 7. Again, I can't square how the fuck these dudes gave this game a 10 out of 10. Nothing about it, like I said, nothing about it is exceptional. It doesn't do anything exceptionally well. And I think that 10s need to be reserved for games that do something exceptionally well, or games that are in themselves exceptional. To give this game a 10, again, I don't understand why. It makes no sense to me. I can't think of a reason why so many outlets would be praising this game. So long story short, or in this case probably long story long, because I'm sure this video is a lot longer than it should be, because I like to ramble about shit. Is Deathloop a good game? Yeah, sure, it's a great game. I have fun with it. 10 out of 10, no fucking way. Would I tell you that you need to go out and buy this game if you're on the fence? No, you don't need to go out and buy this game. If you want to wait for it to go on sale, then wait for it to go on sale. It's not a game where I'm like, dude, you need to fucking pony up your cash and buy this fucking game. For me, it is definitely not one of those games. By the way, I'm sorry if this review is kind of all over the place. I'm trying to think about what I want to say, because I don't do this shit scripted. And at the same time, I'm having to pause every 5 seconds to deal with my fucking nerve pain, and it's bugging the shit out of me. So that's just like, it's getting in my head. So I apologize if this review feels not very focused and feels scatterbrained, which I always think my reviews feel scatterbrained, but some people say that they like the way I review shit. I don't know. I think that my reviews always come off a bit scatterbrained because I'm just kind of speaking about things as I think about them versus like going down a list of shit I wrote down beforehand or reading off a script that I wrote ahead of time. But yeah, anyway, that's Returnal. It's not the game that I thought it was going to be. Not as good as the outlets are making it out to be. But not a bad game. And that's all I got for you guys on this one. And that's the video, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Are you buying this game? Have you bought this game? Are you on the fence about this game? Or is this game a no fucking way? Let me know. And as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys on the next Supernova.